So that's right. The discussion about Social Security has been completely backwards, with candidates promising not to fix a program that desperately needs to be fixed. And as we've been analyzing all of the policies of both candidates, we've been well aware of the void of discussion on this important topic. But what caught us by surprise is when we were going through the policies, we did find that former President Trump's policies, many of them would actually contribute, as you said, to a significant deterioration in the program's finances. As you asked specifically, there have been a lot of promises about cutting taxes for certain groups. Cutting those Social Security benefit taxes means that undermines a revenue stream that currently goes into the program. You would lose about $950 billion by not taxing those benefits for seniors for Social Security. Likewise, if you don't tax tips and you don't tax overtime, that's another revenue stream that's going to finance the underfunded program that would no longer exist. Cuts about $900 billion out of the program over the next decade. And then finally, the effects of getting rid of undocumented workers, mass deportation, and tariffs would actually have both potentially inflationary effects on the economy, which means higher COLAs for seniors, because when there's inflation, hurts many people, but seniors have an automatic bump up in their Social Security benefits, and it could reduce wages, both of which would cause further deterioration, we find, of about $400 billion. And so, like you said, this program headed towards insolvency within less than a decade. Current seniors are on track to be getting 23% across the board benefit cuts, which is unconscionable, terrible policy. They need to do something to fix it. And under these policies, we find that those benefit reductions would actually move up to 33% across the board benefit cuts. We need all candidates talking about how to fix the program. We don't need policies to make it worse.
Well, so how do we figure, Maya, you've been in Washington for a minute, how come no one wants to talk about it? This is a hands-off for both campaigns. That goes for Joe Biden back when he was running, and I guess still as president of the United States. This has been in a lockbox since Al Gore talked about it a whole bunch of years ago. Why won't anyone raise their hand knowing how many people this impacts? This would be a good political issue, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's become a pretzel of a narrative where everybody's talking about it backwards, as though protecting the program means doing nothing, when clearly protecting the program means doing something. We can't be saying to today's seniors, the current plan right now is you are heading for a benefit cut of about $16,000 per year when policymakers promise not to do anything to fix the program. But I have been here for a long time. And we do know that, unfortunately, reasonable fiscal policy can be very bad politics. Right now, we have candidates on both sides promising not to fix Social Security, not to touch these programs, and not to raise taxes, both of which are going to have to be part of an overall plan to address the fiscal situation. So good fiscal policy, not always good politics. That's a real problem for the issue. And as long as pandering on this issue and promising not to touch benefits benefits or revenues when they need to be changed to fix the program is it's doing a huge disservice to seniors. Frankly, I'm surprised the ARP isn't out there saying to everybody, "Where's your plan?
Absolutely.
You need to have a plan to fix this program."
Well, so on the idea of neither candidate having a plan on this specific issue, we do have an understanding, as we were mentioning with Donald Trump, but for Kamala Harris as well, of what some of their other plans are. Do we have a sense of how the vice president's policy proposals would impact Social Security? Are we looking at the same kind of time frame for insolvency, or is she not as debilitating potentially to the program as some of these other ideas?
Yeah, exactly. She failed completely to put out a plan to address the program, but the policies that she does have that would affect the payroll tax or Social Security kind of net out to zero. So it's neutral. It's where the program already is. Let me say over and over again, though, that is unacceptable. You cannot be saying to current retirees and people who are about to retire that they are a part of a program that is headed towards insolvency, and the bosses of those programs, the lawmakers of this country, are promising not to do anything to fix it. They are trying to wait until the last minute. I don't know why anyone thinks that's a good plan. It's going to hurt seniors and taxpayers more. It's going to leave fewer revenues for other important priorities in the budget. It's going to create chaos and uncertainty in a program for retirement where you need certainty. And it's just frankly like we aren't governing well at this point. Where they are taking the easy way out instead of saying the trustees tell us every single year in their annual report with basic certainty, we are going to have to make changes to avoid these across the board benefit cuts. Let's get to it. We've known about it for years and decades. And, it's a presidential campaign. That's what leadership is. It's leveling with the country, including about difficult choices that we have to make and talking about their plan to address it. And we're just not hearing that from any of the presidential candidates.
Well, God knows we like to wait till the last minute on everything around here in Washington,
we
Maya.
do.
I wonder how often in the history of the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget have you found that the Republican candidate adds more to debt and deficit than the spending happy Democrat? Is this a first?
Well, when President Trump ran previously, in our scores, we found that he would add much more to the overall debt.
So not
than-
named
than-
Trump.
It used to be, prior to those races, actually the candidates were almost exactly equal, like just to tens of billions of difference in how much they would affect the national debt through very different kinds of policies. You'll remember in the past, Republicans tended to cut taxes, Democrats tended to raise spending. You're now seeing a merging of both, where Republicans also raise spending and Democrats also cut taxes. So both candidates' proposals are much, much worse than we've seen in the past. And in this situation, we've certainly seen that President Trump's, with its effect on Social Security and the overall debt, is larger than we're seeing from Vice President Harris. Yeah.